The tracker died at sunset, and the footsteps did not quicken. On the powder-gray flats of Kershaw 9's outer ring, where the asteroid's thin atmosphere whipped dust into biting veils, an elite Xylan shadow-stalker named Vale, 31, sprinted for freedom. It had escaped the prison's sabotaged lockdown hours ago, cloaking in the deepening shadows as alarms wailed distant and futile. The Xylan was built for this, short, explosive bursts of speed that bent light around its ritual-scarred form, vanishing into cold recovery nooks where no pursuer could match its pace. But something followed. Not a drone's whine or a guard's frantic scramble. Just footsteps. Steady, unhurried, crunching regolith underboots. Vale, 31, glanced back through the dust storm, its photosensitive eyes narrowing against the fading light. The figure was human-shaped, rangy, moving at a walk that ate distance without effort. No sprint. No panique. Vale, 31, pushed harder, muscles firing in perfect apex rhythm, cloaking deeper into a shadow-filled gulch. The prison moon's low gravity let it bound like a specter, leaving heat prints that cooled fast in the chill. It needed rest soon, long, low-stimulus recovery to purge the lactic burn. But the footsteps persisted, a metronome echo over the wind's rasp. The Xylan found a crevice, burrowed in, and waited. Hours passed. The footsteps drew nearer, then paused. A voice, calm and economic, muttered into the void. Step 1400. Sip. Breathe. Vale 31's confidence curdled. It bolted again, but fatigue nipped at its edges. The human didn't chase. Didn't need to. By sunset, the Xylan's sprints faltered. It collapsed in a dust drift, ritual scars gleaming under the last rays, body demanding the shadow, rest it couldn't claim. The footsteps approached, steady as doom. It didn't speed up. It didn't have to. The heat lingers wrong here, like a predator's breath on shadowed hide. Vibrations through the ground, measured, not frantic. Why does it not tire? The sprint is power. This is mockery. Cal Riley logged the entry in his battered paper field book, pencil scratching under the dim glow of his suit's wrist light. Kershaw 9, outer ring. Tracker down at 1847 local. No wounds. Exhaustion. Persistence works on moons too. He knelt by the body. Another Xylan scout, not his mark, but a casualty of the escape's sabotage. The asteroid prison loomed behind him, a hulking mass of reinforced habdomes pitted by micrometeor scars. Alarms had silenced, replaced by the tick of cooling metal and the distant groan of air scrubbers straining against dust infiltration. Cal was late 30s, rangy from years of mountain ultraruns back on Earth, with a scar at his temple from an SAR hull breach that had ended his search and rescue days. Now he hunted bounties, retrofitting his old pack with trauma kit, kinetic line, collapsible heat shroud, water reclamation still, flares, chalk, analog compass. Weapons were last resort, stunners and nets first, an old coil pistol he hoped stayed holstered. He surveyed the escape site with minimalist forensics. Heat prints faded on the regolith, Xylan claws, shoulder-high scrapes on bulkheads from cloaking bursts. Protein flakes from recovery gel littered a hideout nook. The sabotage had been precise. EMP surge, overridden locks. Vale, 31, the prize prisoner from a failed Black Ops program, was loose. His comm hissed to life. Mr. Riley, this is Thimble, your cartel-neutral broker AI. Bounty confirmed. 5 million credits for live capture of prisoner-designate Vale, 31. Escrow held. Waiver for lethal force included, though we advise against it for premium payout. Any questions? Cal adjusted his vacuum-rated soft suit, seals whispering against the low-pressure chill. No timers. No drones. Just updates. Understood. Dead drop coordinates, incoming. Please note, liability for environmental hazards is not covered under standard terms. Cal grunted, dry humor in the AI's tone-deaf legalese. He accepted the contract with a thumb scan on his wrist pad. The hunt was on. No ruse. He'd outlasted. He shouldered his pack, checked his water, full for now, and started walking toward the first lead, a smuggler's dock on the asteroid's far side. Footsteps crunched steady, his breath cycling even, in for 4 steps, out for 4. A protein flake in his gloved hand crumbled. The Xylan was already fraying, leaving traces it shouldn't. Log entry. Interviews complete. Pattern, sprint, hide, cool. My pattern, walk, observe, endure. Water at 90%. Steps, 0 reset. Cal moved through Kershaw 9's warrens, the prison's lightless corridors echoing with his boot treads, deliberate, metronomic. He interviewed 3 survivors, rule of 3 for solid intel. Fear, greed, faith. First, the burned-out warden in a flickering office, nicotine patch slipping in low G, sticking it back with a curse substitute mutter. Darn thing. He described the sabotage, explosives in the power grid, Veil, 31 vanishing in the blackout. It's a shadow demon. Sprints like lightning, then goes away. We lost 2 guards just chasing echoes. Fear mapped the terrain. Prison moons, dust storms, and cold gulches perfect for recovery. Next, a tight-lipped smuggler captain in the docking bay, eyes greedy for a cut. Veil, 31 hitched a ride off asteroid. Maybe to Daphnis B. Schedule's tight. Needs shadow rest every few hours or it burns out. Greed gave the schedule. Burst metabolism demanded long cools, or the Xylan overheated like an overclocked engine. Last, a junkering monk in a shrine to lost cosmonauts, candle flames flickering in recycled air. The shadows whisper of endurance, he said, voice faithful and serene. Light reveals, but patience claims. Faith offered superstition. Xylans built recovery shrines, ritual scars binding them to solitude. He handed Cal a small candle. For mercy, Cal assembled the pattern on his analog map. Veil, 31 would sprint across dead moons, hide in derelicts, cool in warrens. He packed light, trauma kit primed, still ready for water math. No spectacle, just discipline. He lit the monk's candle briefly, wax drip echoing soft, then extinguished it. Light his weapon later. As he stepped into the shuttle bay, thimble pinged. Update. Veil, 31 sighted on Daphnis B. Happy hunting, Mr. Riley. Terms prohibit sharing with rivals. Log entry. Daphnis B landing. Dust storm inbound. Tracked by negative space. Steps, 500. SIP schedule, every 200. Cal's shuttle touched down on the inhospitable moon. Regolith crunching under landing struts like brittle bone. The air was thin, laced with silicate grit that rasped against his suit's mic, a constant auditory haze for any listener. He stepped out, boots sinking into powder, and set his pace. Steady walk, no run. The Xylan's trail was fresh, disturbed dust where claws had dug in for a sprint. He tracked by negative space, where dust hadn't settled, where heat lingered wrong on his thermal overlay. No high-tech scans. Analog compass and chalk marks on rocks. Simple sigils, human waypoints that became sacred in their persistence. Veil, 31 watched from a culvert, cloaked in deep shade, bending light around its form. It expected a sprint, a chase it could outpace. But Cal never ran. He narrated softly into his log, voice a low rumble over calm hiss. Step 1200. Breath cycle, in 4, out 4. Heat print fading, it's close. The dust storm built, wind whipping grit into seals, a sonic barrage of pings and whispers. Cal pressed on, flares tucked away for later. His sweat wicked efficiently, human advantage. Steady pacing avoided oxygen debt. Lactate buildup a non-issue. Veil, 31 held, paranoid, but the footsteps drew inexorably closer. A shadow flickered unnaturally. Cal marked it with chalk. X for target. Vibrations through the stone, relentless, like a heartbeat that refuses to race. The dust bites, but the heat from within burns hotter. Why does the lightbender not cloak its pursuit? It walks as if the shadow is no sanctuary. Log entry. Pilgrim's hull entry. Hull tick every 17 seconds. Used for triangulation. Wound check none. Water 75%. The generation barge floated derelict in the void, a silent cathedral of echoing corridors where hull groans reverberated like distant thunder. Perfect for audio immersion, each creak a clock ticking down. Cal boarded through a breached airlock, boots thudding on metal grates, chalk in hand to mark bulkheads with sigils, arrows for direction, circles for rest points. Inside, he used sound hunt. The hull tick, a rhythmic expansion from solar heating, bounced echoes. He timed his steps to it, metronome precision. Vale, 31 had ambushed here before. Cal set a decoy beacon, its low EM ping humming soft. The Xylan struck, cloak distorting under the interference like a glitch in shadow. A burst of speed, claws scraping metal, implied violence in the clatter, the beacon's sudden silence. Cal filed the pattern. Cloak failed in EM haze. He adjusted. Less tech, more patience, humming a low SAR cadence to mask his breath. Corridors stretched long, candle stubs from scavengers flickering in alcoves. Cal lit one briefly, light mercy in the dark, then moved on. Footsteps echoed, unceasing. Chalk on a bulkhead, a half-scratched Xylan rune. The alien was marking too, desperate imitation. Log entry, heat flares deployed. Ambient rise, 5 degrees. Control the terrain, control the metabolism. Steps, 4,000. Cal triggered microflares near likely hideouts, small pops like muffled fireworks, raising heat in control blooms. The derelict's corridors warmed, air scrubbers ticking faster against the strain. Vale 31's cloak shimmered, oil on water distortion, visible in the haze, forcing an early move. The Xylan bolted, recovery cycle ruined, lactic fire implied in its staggered gait echoes. Kellogg calmly, it needs cold shadow. Deny it. His own body managed heat, sweat evaporation, pacing to avoid buildup. Human endurance. No spectacular bursts, just steady dissipation. He found a half-made recovery shrine, protein gel smears, ritual scars etched in haste. The alien was fraying, paranoia seeping in. A distant clatter, Vale, 31 fleeing. Gal smilat finally. One step closer. Heat blooms like wounds in the dark, ripping the cloak's veil. The pursuer's breath is steady fire. My limbs scream for shadow rest. This is not hunting, it is erosion. Log entry reflective. First time I learned to keep moving was on Earth, in a blizzard, whiteout, zero viz. Someone lived because I didn't stop. Counted steps through the freeze, sipped from a melting icicle. Endurance isn't glory, it's the next breath. Back to the hunt. Log entry. Rocklast Basin crossing. Water math. 2 liters. Sip every 300 steps. You're in check. Clear. Still running at night. The basin stretched like shattered obsidian. Local dawn casting long shadows. Cal walked by its light, resting under his reflective shroud at zenith. Fabric whispering as it blocked heat. He calculated to the milliliter. Reclamation still condensing moisture from breath and sweat. Canteen sloshing soft. Vale, 31, desperate, raided an automated farm pod. Ammonia sweet spore of nutrient gel left behind, a panic trace. Cal noted it, dry humor in his mutter. Thanks for the signpost. His pacing avoided dehydration collapse. Xylans burned hot in bursts, needing more recovery fluid. Night fell, coolant drips echoing from cracks. Cal umat, forward steps matronomique. Thimble pinged. Update. Spore confirmed. Bounty intact. Avoid rival interference per terms. Log entry. Markers laid. Speak the ritual. Psychology. Endurance as mercy. Water. 60%. Steps. 8,000. In empty warrens, Cal laid markers. Not traps. Messages. A stolen ID tag returned via dead drop. Ration water left in a chalk circle. A candle lit monk style. Flame crackling soft. He spoke aloud, voice echoing over hull creaks. Mountains on earth taught me the long way. Lungs prefer it. You fight the sprint. I walk the distance. Vale, 31 listened, hidden, mind twisting in paranoia. A marker returned, gel packet, empty. Acceptance? Or bait? The words vibrate like footsteps, speaking of mountains and breath, as if in ritual. Why offer light to one who craves shadow? This prey officiates its own end. Madness and persistence. Log entry. Controlled wound taken. Treat and move. Cadence unchanged. Hear the lactic burn in its echoes. Cal slowed deliberately, cutting his calf on a rusted strut. Sharp metallic scrape. Blood implied in the fizz of med gel. He treated it. Pressure, elevate, seal. Then kept moving, footsteps exact over calm echoes. Vale, 31 sprinted to finish it, collapsing early, limbs ripping with acid fire, staggered thuds fading. Cal never appeared, only his breath. Hydrate, step, breathe. The Xylan silence broke, a low, feral keen. The wound slows nothing. The footsteps mock my sprint's fire. Lactic blaze consumes. Why does it not falter? This is the breaking point, yet it walks on. Log entry. Rivals inbound. Decline split. Keep moving. Bounty terms. Live capture preferred. An opportunistic crew swooped in. Comms crackling. Riley, we assist for half. Drones to bait it. Cal declinat pulitedi. They deployed anyway. Drone whines, then cut comms, a single clatter implying slaughter. Cal marked a quiet chalk cross on his map. Footsteps resuming over the hush. Thimble warned. Terms may change if Vale. 31 dies. Cal, it won't. Log entry. Mirror tube route. Light as weapon. Cloak negated. Steps. 12,000. Wound stable. Cal forced the path through a mirror-lined maintenance tube. Light bouncing to annihilate shadow. Reflections glaring like a gauntlet of suns. Fizzing the cloak. Vale 31's eyes burned. A bolt toward cold storage. Last sprint echoes frantic. Cal stepped closer, counting aloud. 1, 2, breathe. Foggy breath in the cold ahead. The end neared. Light sears like initiation scars reopened. Shadows flee. The footsteps count doom. Unstoppable, unending. Belief fractures. Log entry. Cold storage labyrinth. Hum the cadence. It collapses not from wound, but certainty. Breath fogged in the chill. Coolant drips echoing like a slowing heart. Cal hummed his SAR tune. Footsteps metronomic. Vale, 31 staggered. Visions of initiation runs haunting its mind. Ritual solitude shattered by the persistent echo. Cal recited, hydrate, step, breathe. The Xylan collapsed, body spent from unbroken pursuit. Cal wrapped it in a thermal blanket, pulse thready but alive. You fought well. Now rest. Thimble confirmed escrow. Cal donated to the monk's shrine, logging. What you chase teaches you how to walk. He logged his steps, shouldered the pack, and went looking for the next thing that needed to be found. The footsteps cease, but their echo remains. Mercy in the blanket's warmth. Not predator, but something enduring. Rest comes, taught by the walker.